So for episode 2 of Tombo Talks, we'll be answering Nick's question. What was my worst experience while exploring, and what made it so bad? There was time back in 2016, and we were in coal country. The town of Lycans, a very small town, maybe like 1,000 people, really small town. And there was a couple of abandoned buildings related to coal mining. We'd been there once before, ran out of daylight, so we came back to get some pictures. And there was a branch across a tree across the creek, and two guys I was with walked across. I'm searching back and forth. This very narrow. Didn't really think I could make it. Didn't really trust, the branch. So I tried to look for something else. Couldn't find anything else. Finally decided to just cross. Well, fell in. It was January. The sun was just starting to set, and I was able to leap to my feet, but I started immediately shaking, like I actually had to be helped out of this creek. Luckily, the guys I was with were rednecks, and I mean that they could take nothing and make something out of it. Well, they ended up starting a pretty big campfire, getting me warm. It was like a maybe 10-15 minute walk, normally, but shivering and shaking to get back to the car. We knew we couldn't spend the night there. Get back to this guy's car. Luckily, I had a change of clothes in the trunk. I had the Outback at the time. I had a change of clothes. Fired the engine up, set the heat for max, set the fan for max. I was parked on the main stretch of this town, Route 209, and such a small town, there was literally nothing going on, so I just stripped in the car, got dressed. The heat was going, and just stayed in the car until I felt warm, normal, Went inside, got a cup of tea, and I was fine after that. Scary. It was a little scary, yeah. Second experience would be, this was 2020. A good friend of mine who I explored with over a dozen times, this kid Shane. We went to a coal dump, and it's a train car goes in, this machine secures it, literally and just the coal falls out. Kind of cool, rusted out. And I have a fan. We were finishing up. We'd actually just finished the Explorer, and we were getting ready to walk out. And he had ducked down under this piece of corrugated steel, stood up. I was literally right behind him. Well, figured if he could stand up, I could stand up. Well, I ended up banging my head on this edge, and it's like a checkmark size scar. I had a minor headache, didn't really feel anything. The guys I were with were freaking out, and I insisted I didn't need an ambulance. To this day, I don't think I needed an ambulance. I pulled out my driver's license and I gave them all the information, like, this is the day of the week, this is the date, this is who's the president, who's the vice president, this is where I live, this is how we met. Finally able to calm them down. They literally both went like ghost white. I refused an ambulance. I said I can drive myself. Hospital was 10 minutes away. Got in the car, the bleeding stopped, and then it kind of started up again. There's a lot of blood vessels in the head area. Got there, they cleaned it out, 5 staples. What made that worse or bad was that we were sort of, it was like a 3 or 4 spot trip, day. We were going to hit 3 or 4 spots, and that was the first one. So that killed literally the day. Wasn't deemed an emergency, so I could wait. I wasn't. I had a bit of a headache, got out of the hospital, was hungry. Um, you know me, if my hunger's there, I'm fine. um, so that killed the rest of the day as far as exploring went. Um, the next one would be a friend of mine had talked about Preakness Psychiatric Hospital. He had been there on a Saturday and contacted me Sunday, and another guy that we both knew, and said, "Hey, you guys should get here. They're going to be tearing this down." Well, we went literally 7 days later, the very next Saturday, and there's one wing, a clock tower, and then another wing that connects to what used to be a juvenile prison or jail. I guess it was prison. These are kids with sentences, till they were turned 18 or 21 or however New Jersey does that. And there was a wing where the clock tower was demolished, and that other entire wing was demolished. Literally just a field of bricks. We were both planning, the kid that I went with and I were both planning on spending, the afternoon here, and there was literally half the building missing. And while we're inside, security pulls up, and there's a single man talking very loudly. The guy I'm with is freaking out. Well, I'm paying attention to what this guy, the security guard's saying. He's on the phone. He's complaining about a girlfriend, wife, ex, whatever. He has absolutely no knowledge that we're in there. He's not concerned about us one bit. He is busy complaining, crying, venting about this girlfriend. So finally calm the guy I'm with down. Let's just slip out. The way that we came in, this guy's not going to see us. Slip out, get outside the fence, walk around. Doesn't even really look at us. He's a, minimum wage security guard. He's busy dealing with whatever's going on in his life. He doesn't see us inside the fence. He only sees us outside looking. And we're not staring. We're just sort of walking past, admiring kind of thing. He doesn't really say anything. So that sucked that we had those plans and that we could only literally see a small fraction of this place. And they'd cleaned Preakness out. The problem with Preakness was, black mold. There was holes in the roof, the water was getting in, and just the black mold was flourishing. You could still kind of smell it in the air, but all the drywall, plaster, literally just ripped everything down. It was just exposed brick. That was all that was left, and you could still get that moldy, mildewy, like soaking wet, poorly ventilated bathroom in like a basement kind of thing smell. So I could only imagine, had we gone sooner with all that plaster still up and the black mold, thriving, probably would have had to go to the hospital. Luckily it was stripped down. There's a couple of wheelchairs, a couple of cool hallway shots. So the trip itself was all right. But it just sucked that half of it was missing. So yeah, those are going to be the ones that I rate as my worst.